The Apollo lunar missions concluded in 1972, yet the Moon continues to captivate the interest of NASA and scientists worldwide. Apollo 11 emerged as a significant achievement in the context of the space race amid the Cold War rivalry between the Soviet Union and the United States. Preceding the Apollo 11 moon landing, the Soviet Union's lunar aspirations faced significant setbacks. Undeterred, the Soviets persevered in their efforts to gain a decisive edge and overturn their initial setbacks. Nevertheless, smooth progress on the United States side would inevitably place the Soviet Union at a disadvantage in reaching the moon. Adding to the complexity, after the successful Apollo 11 lunar landing, the Soviet Union's Luna 15 mission ultimately ended in a crash during landing. Initiated by NASA in the early 1960s, the Apollo program set out with the ambitious objective of landing humans on the moon and ensuring their safe return to Earth. Despite setbacks, notably the tragic Apollo 1 mission in 1967 resulting in the loss of 3 astronauts, NASA diligently worked to enhance spacecraft safety and technology. On July 16, 1969, the Saturn V rocket carrying Apollo 11 and its crew lifted off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The spacecraft entered Earth's orbit before executing a translunar injection to chart a course for the Moon. July 19 marked Apollo 11's entrance into lunar orbit, with the lunar module Eagle separating from the command module. Subsequently, on July 20, astronauts Armstrong and Aldrin descended to the lunar surface, leaving Collins in orbit. The lunar module successfully landed in the Sea of Tranquility, and Armstrong, on July 20, 1969, became the first person to set foot on the Moon. For about 2.5 hours, Armstrong and Aldrin conducted experiments, collected samples, and planted the American flag outside the lunar module. Following their lunar activities, the lunar module ascended to reunite with Collins in the command module. The spacecraft initiated its journey back to Earth, culminating in the historic splashdown in the Pacific Ocean on July 24, 1969, concluding the Apollo 11
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Neil Armstrong, the pioneering astronaut who took the first steps on the Moon during NASA's Apollo 11 mission in 1969, has been the target of various conspiracy theories suggesting that the moon landing was a hoax orchestrated by the United States government. The 1978 Hollywood film Capricorn 1 did much to popularize moon landing conspiracy theories. Based on Kaysing's book, it imagined that a Mars landing was faked in a film studio, tapping into conspiracy rumors that the moon landings themselves had been directed by Stanley Kubrick. This suggestive myth is based in part on the idea that special effects had become much more sophisticated with Kubrick's 1968 film 2001: A Space Odyssey, although still far from the capabilities that the conspiracy theories suppose. Even if they are far-fetched in factual terms, moon landing conspiracy theories nevertheless call up the more plausible possibility that in our media-saturated age reality itself is constructed, if not actually faked, the conversation. Opinion polls indicate that between 5 to 10% of Americans distrust the official version of events. In the UK, a YouGov poll in 2012 found that 12% of Britons believed in the conspiracy theory. A recent survey found that 20% of Italians believe that the moon landings were a hoax, while a 2018 poll in Russia put the figure there as high as 57%, unsurprising given the popularity of anti-Western conspiracy theories there. Crucially, overwhelming scientific evidence and the testimony of thousands involved in the Apollo program affirm the authenticity of the moon landings. Conspiracy theories surrounding the moon landing have been widely discredited by experts, refuting claims made by skeptics. Common arguments from conspiracy theorists include the belief that the American government staged the moon landing as part of the Cold War space race with the Soviet Union, or that the footage and photographs were fabricated on Earth in a studio. Despite facing scrutiny and skepticism, Armstrong, along with Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins, consistently maintained the genuineness of their experiences on the Moon. Armstrong, known for his private and reserved nature, prioritized focusing on his work over engaging in public controversies. In summary, Neil Armstrong's historic accomplishment of being the first human to walk on the Moon stands as a monumental event in human history, substantiated by irrefutable evidence and the collaborative efforts of thousands involved in the Apollo program. While moon landing conspiracy theories persist, they lack credibility within the scientific community and are unsupported by credible evidence. In 2017, U.S. President Donald Trump signed Space Policy Directive No. 1, formally endorsing the Artemis program. The Artemis program, a manned spaceflight project funded by the U.S. government, aims to safely transport astronauts to the Moon and back before 2024. The initiative also seeks to establish a regular habitation mechanism, laying the groundwork for future manned missions to Mars. Under the Artemis mission, NASA plans to land the first woman and the first person of color on the Moon. Led by NASA, the Artemis program involves collaboration with various U.S. commercial space companies and international partners, including the European Space Agency, the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, the Canadian National Space Agency, the Italian Space Agency, the Australian National Space Agency, the British Space Agency, the United Arab Emirates Space Agency, and others.